Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Artisan Cutlery and Gavko knives Great White. You can see there the Gavko maker's logo. This wasn't initially, like usually I feel like I can pick out a Gavko design, but initially it threw me. I wasn't exactly sure, you know, if it was an in-house designer or if they collaborated. But I think, you know, once I saw the logo, I was like, oh, okay, that does make sense. Gavko Knives likes to do, like, they do a lot of knives where they name them after sharks and things like that. I've had a couple on this channel. I'm not going to say that I'm incredibly familiar with Gavko designs, but I have had very positive thoughts about the knives designed by them that I've actually showed on this channel, and I've also had a pretty positive experience with Artisan Cutlery. Quick information, as of the time of this recording, this knife is not going to be available, it is not at the moment available on, you know, like the common retailers, Blade HQ, DLT, GP Knives, stuff like that. You can actually find it on their website. I will still link Artisan Cutlery knives down below, just sort of as a search so that people who are watching this in the future can still find it and everything else that is currently available through Artisan Cutlery knives. But as of right now, I believe it's November 2nd when I'm filming this, you can only go to their website to pick it up. Anyways, thanks so much for supporting me right now on Patreon. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there is, of course, a link right down in the description. You're supporting me in the world to me. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this guy. It's not a small knife, not by any stretch of the imagination. We're coming in at about 8.5 inches overall. Blade length is coming in at, wow, 3.75 inches, and your cutting edge, thanks to a very generous forward choil, is coming in at about 3¼ inches overall. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1's coming in very similar, 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 is coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue is coming in at 8 inches overall. How about up against the Para 3? Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7¼ inches overall. And last but not least, the Benchmade Mini Griptilian. Mini Griptilian coming in at 6.75 inches overall. How's the action of this guy? Artisan Cutlery knives are manufactured in China, just so you know. The action is very good. It's about what I expect from Artisan Cutlery. You know, in the beginning, there were a couple of models from Artisan Cutlery. I think maybe, I don't know if they've just changed things, or if I just got a hold of some meh, you know, knives, but they actually feel quite a bit better than my initial experience with them maybe a year and a half ago or so. These are running, this knife is running on ceramic bearings, and it feels really good. It's also really easy to engage this opening hole here, which is something that, you know, is really important. If you're going to put that on there, right, I want to be able to access it. And you can, absolutely. If you want to do, you know, the flick like this, or you want to do your reverse flick, you can do that. They've also knocked down these edges in here, which makes it, you know, a lot more comfortable on the fingernail. You can also just sort of pinch open it or sort of wheel it out, right? The detent is exactly what it should be for that. It's got a little bit of a click right there, nice and solid, no detent lash, anything like that. There is plenty of room to engage this, you know, the lock bar right here, and then the forward choil makes it to where, you know, when it comes down on your finger, it's not the blade contacting your finger. I'm very happy with it. It's very, very smooth. It's not quite fall shut, but there's no friction on the inside of the pivot, which is nice. That's something that I appreciate. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools. As usual, I have expensive and inexpensive options for tools. They are all listed down in the description and are highly recommendable. I'm going to guess that the pivot is a T8, so let's give that a shot here real quick. Pivot is definitely T8. Unfortunately, the body screws are T6. This is pretty typical of Artisan Cutlery. Same with the lock bar insert screw, and then I think there's a hidden screw underneath here for the pocket clip. Those are all going to be T6. You guys know my feelings on T6. Not the best. I wish that everything was T8 or higher, but you can't always get what you want. There's still pretty minimal hardware on this guy, just 2 screws on the body, right? And then you've got the pivot, and then there's access points to the pivot on both sides. Not a deal breaker, just be really careful if you're going to take it apart. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. So thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here, it's really just about the same thickness, and you're getting contouring, which is pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I thought, you know, it's probably going to be a little bit thicker, but no. It's, you know, you'd think, I think my mindset is set that way because it's called a great white, right? As far as length and height, this thing is definitely longer than the Para 3. Definitely about the same length, honestly, in handle. Maybe a little bit, sorry, I just bumped the thing. About the same length, maybe a little bit shorter than the PM2, right? These two guys are a little bit awkward in the pocket. Nobody ever complains. That's why we compare. In terms of height, the tallest point is up here behind this harpoon notch, and yeah, it's actually still not quite as tall as like the PM2, so it should be just fine. I mean, obviously, if you don't like larger knives, and this is definitely not going to be your cup of tea. Let's go ahead and take a look at the inside here. You can check out my flashlight down in the description. No milling on the inside, but not overly thick on the titanium scales. I'm not 100% you know, going to say it absolutely needed internal milling, right? But internal milling would have made it a little bit lighter. We'll weigh it here in just a sec. Let me make sure that we're zeroed out here before I measure blade stock thickness. Probably 140 thousandths. No, it's thicker than that. About 150 thousandths on the spine. There's a lot of stuff here that would suggest that it might weigh a lot, but truthfully, I'm going to guess it's somewhere in the 4.5 ounce range. Okay, lighter than that, 4.09 ounces. I don't really have a problem with that. It's just about on that 4 ounce mark, right? But it's over that whole ounce and inch thing, right? Depends on how you look at it. If you like to carry the lightweight Para 3 or the Benchmade bug out, this is probably going to be too heavy, right? If you live in an area where you can't carry knives of a certain length, right? This one's definitely over the limit for a lot of people. But if you carry full-size knives and you wear like jeans and something like that every day, then this is just not going to be a problem. The carry profile is pretty good. There's nothing crazy. There's no flipper tab or anything like that. In and out of the pocket, it's nice and smooth. It's contoured, right? So for most people who, you know, regularly carry full-size knives, I don't think this is going to be an issue. Let's go ahead and talk about the anatomy here. So this is completely and totally monochromatic, which is my thing. I like that. I like this sort of, you know, it's not really like a chalky bead blasting. It's just sort of like a matte, like maybe a very lightly tumbled titanium finish, which looks nice. I really appreciate the contouring, and I really like that they've knocked the edges down all the way around. It's pretty comfortable in hand. In fact, the lines on this knife are super, super organic right here. If you want to choke up here, or if you want to rest your thumb back behind this notch, very, very comfortable. Initially, I thought maybe the pocket clip with that, it's got a slight bill, right, that it might be a little bit uncomfortable, but truthfully, no. This is actually really exceptionally comfortable in the hand. I like a good size forward choil. I like being able to choke up. I like kind of a blank canvas when it comes to handle ergonomics. I like a good suggestion as far as where to put my hands, right? But I don't want to be forced into any one specific position. And this knife does a good job of being like, okay, you can kind of put your hands wherever you want. You don't necessarily have to be right, you know, in these spots right here. But yeah, 4-finger grip, no problem on this guy. It's big, but it's not gigantic. But you get the handle room that comes with like a gigantic knife, I guess. Very similar experience to, you know, like the PM2. You don't have an enormous amount of cutting edge, but you have an exceptional amount of handle room, and that makes it really nice. I mean, you know, in a usage situation, you're not going to be cutting just exactly the same thing with exactly the same grip all the time, so it's nice to have a bunch of different options. And it's nice that the knife actually locks you in because there's no texturing, right? It's really just the lines of the knife that lock you in, but I feel incredibly secure without feeling like I'm running the risk of running my finger up on that blade. So I really appreciate that a lot. The blade is definitely the highlight of the knife here. This is absolutely crazy. We have sort of this like recurved tanto, right? It's really bizarre. As far as like thinness behind the edges, certainly, I mean, it's not going to be a laser beam, but it's not excessively thick. It'll definitely still cut. I'm sure that, you know, there are, you know, cutting tasks and things you could do with a knife where this style of, I always want to call it reverse recurve, but it's really just a recurve, right? It's upside down. And then it sort of comes to this point right here where it turns into a tanto, right? And reverse tanto Warncliffe's. I don't know. It's really hard to say exactly what this blade shape is, right? But you do have a nice punctured tip. A reasonable amount of material, you know, thickness out here, so I wouldn't worry about the blade being like, you know, weak or anything like that. It's very well sharpened. In fact, it looks great. Like the actual cutting bevel, if I can get my camera to focus today, boy, does not want to look at this. It does not want to focus on that edge. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, the edge looks great on both sides, and there's no nicks or rolls or anything like that. Satin finish looks good. You guys know my thoughts on satin finishes. I just would prefer tumbling because you get a little bit of sharpness up here. Tumbling will knock that down a little bit. But you know what? In the important areas, it is knocked down, like on the inside of this opening hole right here and up here. Honestly, the chamfering that's done up here is really, really nice. The blade is cool. I mean, look, is a simple, you know, like, is something like this going to be more practical? Sure, absolutely. Right? But this is still cool. I mean, this is going to appeal to certain people. And truthfully, as far as like EDC tasks, you know, the vast majority of us are just going to be using this knife for EDC tasks. Will it perform those tasks? Sure. It might get hung up during certain cuts, right? I mean, this area right here might get hung up or whatever, but are you going to be able to complete simple tasks like open letters and break down boxes and, you know, stuff like that? Sure. Are you going to be able to take it outside and use it to cut, you know, wood and rope and rubber? Yeah, sure. It's just the awkwardness of the, you know, the angles and the grind here might make certain things a little bit like, I got kind of stuck there, right? I think the biggest issue is going to come down to, you know, that people are going to have with the blade is when they have to sharpen it. Getting the, you know, sharpening this area right here and then transitioning to this area and keeping that looking nice over time, that's probably not something that I'm capable of doing personally. I'm not a, you know, I'm definitely a novice sharpener. I mean, I'm not saying, you know, people can't learn how to do that for sure, but it's certainly going to be a little bit more tricky and a little bit more difficult than sharpening something like this. The steel is S35VN. I have absolutely no problem with that. S35VN is one of my favorite steels ever. Decent edge retention, good corrosion resistance, good toughness, right? It's just a nice, well-rounded steel that is absolutely made for folding knives and I think is appropriate in this price range, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. The hardware looks great. I like the polished sort of button head. I like a simple look, right? This knife, we're going to talk about the price here in a second. Truthfully, I think I would have liked to see more going on here. I always like texturing, right? And I know you guys are going to say that's just part of your like requirements for your hypothetical Excalibur knife. I always prefer texturing or some type of milling over just a plain Jane look. And while this knife certainly does have very striking features, right? Like, I mean, the blade, for example, is the most striking part. I think I would have appreciated something going on down here, you know, not necessarily like it needs texturing for, you know, grip or anything like that. I think I would have just liked to see a little bit more. Some people don't care about that. Some people like an incredibly plain, like in this case, they might appreciate that the handle is very plain and that all the aesthetic emphasis is on the blade, right? I think this knife could have used some more busyness, right? The backspacer is flush, looks great, and it says Artisan Cutlery back here. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with, don't have a problem with how they do their logo on the front, but like, or the Gavko thing back here, but I hate seeing the serial number and then the made in China and all this paragraph, right? I understand, you know, there's probably legalities with where, like, having to put made in China somewhere on the knife. I just don't want to see it, right? Maybe if it can go on the inside or somewhere else where it's more hidden, right? I don't mind, like, you know, the maker's logo or the designer's logo, and then the manufacturer's logo is fine, and then the blade steel. Everything else should just not be, because it takes away from the, like, this side of it. It just, all of a sudden, it becomes so much more apparent to me that this is, you know, a manufactured item that's, you know, it's just got a stamp on it. And, you know, on this side, it looks like this amazing, like, mysterious, you know, intriguing piece, right? It's funny how something small like this little paragraph can change that up for me. But it's not hindering it in any, you know, way in terms of like utility, so I suppose I can't really complain too much. I don't mind that they put Artisan Cutlery back here, but again, I would have liked to see something interesting going on with the backspacer and something more interesting going on the frame, considering what it costs, which again we're going to talk about. Pocket clip's okay. It's got one of those hidden screws holding it in. It doesn't carry shallow, doesn't carry deep. I don't really have a problem with that. In and out of the pocket, it's no problem because this thing ramps up, which means it's going to, you know, it's going to be very friendly with the seam of almost any pocket. It's going to rise to meet that thickness instead of being straight and, you know, forcing the pocket to conform to this area. So this is good. A little bit of a bill. It might get caught on something. It's titanium. In fact, well, at least I'm pretty sure it's titanium. Yeah, it's titanium, so it's going to be forgiving, so I don't have a problem with that. It does have a steel lock bar insert that doubles as the over travel stop, locking up here at about maybe 40%. No lock stick, very easy to disengage. The centering on this guy is dead on, which is great. And your lockup, by the way, there is a stop pin right here. No shouldering, not that big of a deal. Nice size stop pin, very solid. No blade play up, down, left, or right. Really everything that you would expect in a knife of this tier. Now, the price on this guy. They on the Artisan Cutlery website, they want $266. I'm gonna hope that when this knife goes to retailers, it's for a little bit less. This knife is competing in like, there are so many titanium frame locks running on ceramic bearings that are either using S35VN or M390 right now. And it's like the $200 to $250 mark is ridiculously competitive. I'm gonna guess and hope that when this knife goes to retailers, it's going to be maybe for a little bit less, right? It wouldn't surprise me if they put it at like $245, $250. Truthfully, though, this knife feels more, you know, to like I'm gonna compare it with concept knives that I've handled here recently. I've handled a lot of concept knives utilizing S35VN, ceramic bearings, and titanium that's contoured the same level of, you know, like finish, fit and finish, and the same, very similar feeling, right? And they're coming in between $200 and $225. And some people are like, wow, that's kind of high, you know, when you compare them against Kaiser, right? Kaiser's doing titanium and S35VN. I'm going to tell you right now that this knife feels a little bit more high quality than a lot of the Kaisers I've felt, right? So some people are like, I can get it from Kaiser for $165 or $180, or I can get it from Tucson for $125. Yeah, the quality is definitely different here. This is definitely more in the quality territory of 200 to 230 is kind of what I'm feeling. So I suppose I'd like to see that price there. But like I said, right now you can get it on the Artisan Cutlery website. Are you going to be happy with this knife for $266? If you're going to pay $266 for this knife, you better really, really like how it looks. As far as the construction, right, the overall, you know, quality, the fit and finish, yeah, it's all there. It's exactly what you can expect in this relative price range, right? It's good. But I'd like to see it for a little bit less, right? I'm always confused when, you know, Artisan Cutlery releases knives and you can get them on their website, and it seems like sometimes the price stays exactly the same when it goes to retailers, and sometimes it comes down a bit. Gavko knives, you know, the designs are always interesting. They're generally very ergonomic, and they're always unique in like in a weird way. It's not like your typical. I mean, as far as like what's common here is the common elements of this knife are the fact that it's a titanium frame lock flipper. I'm sorry, a titanium frame lock knife that's running on ceramic bearings using S35VN. Outside of that, though, I mean, the profile and the look is very, very unique. So if you're really, really into that, then maybe it's going to be worth it to you. But I'd like to see it come down a little bit, you know, if I was going to recommend it. Other than that, though, it's great. I don't have a lot of complaints. Definitely going to be difficult to sharpen. Don't like T6, right? But man, other than that, no. I mean, this is cool. I think somebody that's looking for something a little bit different in terms of, you know, the blade, but, you know, somebody who also appreciates really, really good ergonomics and options for different grips, you're really going to like that. I love the position of the hole, size of the hole. Very, very easy to manipulate and fun to manipulate too, and comfortable, right? There's no, I'm not going to say there's any hot spots in this knife that are going to bother folks who like to sit around and fidget with their knives, or just, you know, people just get it out once a day and use it, right? It's nice. This is cool. Might wait to put it in any specific playlist until I see what it's doing at, you know, retailers or what price it's coming in at. But in any case, you can check this knife out at the Artisan Cutlery website, and you can check out everything else that Artisan Cutlery currently has available right down in the description. I will make sure and link everything. Thank you so much to Artisan Cutlery for providing this knife for review. I really appreciate that. Guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.